Mother's Day was supposed to be simple. I took my mom to one of my own hotels for a quiet vacation. We had barely settled onto a leather couch in the lobby when a young man wearing a trainee supervisor badge hurried over. He grabbed us by the arms and asked us to stand up. "This lounge area is reserved for guests applying for VIP membership," he said sternly. "If you're budget travelers, go sit somewhere cheaper. Don't stay here just to enjoy our air conditioning." My expression immediately turned cold. I was about to identify myself when he slammed a printed bill onto the counter and demanded, "And pay the $2,500 dining fee." I stared at him. "We literally just walked in. We haven't even had a glass of water. Why would we owe $500 for a meal?" He rolled his eyes and tapped the front desk with his knuckles. "Everyone who stays here pays it. This is a luxury hotel. Whether you eat or not is your business. You still have to pay." That was where my patience ended. "Call your manager." Instead, he smirked. Then he tapped the name badge on his chest. "Jacob Walker. Remember that name," he said. "This hotel belongs to my stepsister. I run this lobby. Complain to whoever you want. Nobody can help you." I froze. I was my parents' only child. None of my relatives had anything to do with my hotel business. So who exactly was this so-called stepsister who had somehow become the owner of my property? I looked at his badge and memorized his name. Then I said flatly, "I own this hotel." Jacob looked my mother and me up and down as though I had just told the funniest joke in the world. He burst into mocking laughter. "Are you really that desperate to get out of paying the bill?" He curled his lip. "Pretending to be the owner while dressed like that? I've seen plenty of penny pinchers like you. If you want to travel without spending money, stay somewhere modest. Don't come to a 5-star hotel to enjoy free air conditioning and pretend you're rich." I glanced down at our clothes and almost understood why he dared to act this way. Before coming back, my mom and I had wandered through a nearby flea market. We had bought loose cotton and linen outfits because they were comfortable, and together they had cost less than $30. My mom was carrying one of those free reusable grocery bags with a fruit advertisement printed on the side. Inside this sparkling luxury lobby, we truly looked out of place. Jacob slapped the counter with his palm. "My stepsister built her empire across all of Brookhaven with her own hands. The two of you aren't worthy of being here, and now you're pretending to be her?" My mother frowned and looked at me. She had spent her entire career as a respected senior teacher at one of the city's best high schools. She had taught generations of students. She had never imagined experiencing something this humiliating, especially inside her own son's hotel. When she saw me quietly shake my head, she turned toward Jacob. "Sir," she said firmly, "what you're doing is completely inappropriate business conduct. The hotel lobby is a public area. You have no right to force guests out, much less insult them." Jacob was speechless for a second. His face turned red. Then he grabbed his radio. "Security! 2 people causing trouble in the lobby. Get over here now!" Less than 30 seconds later, 4 security guards rushed over. Jacob pointed at us angrily. "I make the rules here. If they don't pay the dining fee, they're not leaving." I looked around at the absurd scene and felt my disbelief slowly turn into irritation. Who was this mysterious stepsister? Which executive had been using my name and my properties to build a private empire behind my back? I reached for my phone and found nothing but a black screen. At the flea market, I had drained the battery recording videos for my mom. If things got worse, she could end up having a terrible experience. So I stopped her from arguing further and looked at Jacob. "Fine," I said. "I'll pay the $2,500. But if this is supposedly for a luxury meal, I want an official invoice and a fully itemized receipt." The moment he saw me pull out my card, a smug smile spread across his face. He immediately ran it through the card reader and accepted the payment without hesitation. Then, instead of printing an invoice, he rummaged through a drawer, pulled out a receipt book, scribbled something onto one of the pages, stamped it, and handed it to me. "The invoice machine isn't working. Receipt only. Take it or leave it." I accepted it. My eyes narrowed. The receipt didn't carry the hotel's official financial seal. Instead, it bore the stamp of another company, Coventry Grand Banquet Catering Services. At that moment, everything became clear. As CEO, I instantly understood the entire scheme. This hotel had heavy customer traffic. Guests were being forced to pay fake dining charges. The money was then funneled through an outside company before disappearing into someone's pocket. This was no longer just misconduct. It was embezzlement, a major financial fraud. I carefully folded the receipt and slipped it into my pocket. "Lead the way," I said. "I'd love to try this luxury meal." 10 minutes later, the food arrived. My mother glanced at it once and slowly shook her head. Several of the dishes had obviously been pre-cooked. Even the juice looked like watered-down syrup. She picked up her utensils and lightly poked one of the seafood dishes. "These shrimp don't look right," she said loudly enough for the nearby tables to hear. "The texture is wrong. They're not fresh at all. They've been frozen and thawed over and over again." She pointed at the steak. "And this steak isn't fresh today either. You're charging over $1,000 for a meal that's nowhere near premium quality." Heads immediately began turning toward us. Jacob's expression changed instantly. Afraid the other guests might start asking questions, he called the security guards over and had us escorted to the most isolated corner of the restaurant. Seeing how uncomfortable he had become, I pressed even harder. "This food is embarrassingly bad," I said. "You can't even fake luxury convincingly." I leaned back in my chair. "Let me guess. Your precious stepsister is just another dishonest person who has no idea what real quality looks like." "Lies!" Jacob shouted. "She oversees purchasing for dozens of hotels across Brookhaven. She just bought a riverfront villa in Lakeshore Estates with cash. Yesterday, she picked up a fully loaded Porsche. People like you could work your entire lives and still never afford one of her tires, purchasing for dozens of hotels throughout Brookhaven." That description should have pointed to Linda Sullivan, our purchasing director. But Linda had always been discreet, honest, and only a few months away from retirement. I couldn't picture her being involved in something this dirty. If it wasn't Linda, then who had enough authority to interfere with hotel purchasing and run this kind of fraud inside a 5-star property? Neither my mother nor I touched the food. My plan was simple. Get to my room, charge my phone, then start unraveling the entire operation. Back at the front desk, I handed over my ID. "Please issue the key card for the..." And if you don't want to wait for part 2, you can watch the full story on my YouTube channel. Just tap, share, then more, and click the YouTube link here on my profile, or search for the channel Cooper Reddit on YouTube.